forgot to hit record. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. This is the August 6th, 2024 HOPWA Workforce Project Coordination Meeting. We keep growing, and I was trying to stop for Danielle. Here she comes. We keep growing, and that's a beautiful thing. So once Danielle gets in, we will do introductions. Hi, Danielle. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning. Good morning. Okay, so let's do brief introduction just in case everybody doesn't know everybody. I'll go based off my screen. So Pastor Andre, you are up, my friend.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Andre McGuire, and I've been living with HIV for 30 plus years. Have been instrumental in Connecticut, essentially, in various forms and planning councils, et cetera, for at least the last 10, 20 years. In various positions, planning council co-chair, case manager, program manager, and it's a blessing to be here. I enjoyed working with Mark there, dealing with the employment stuff, and that's always a blessing to be able to work with other people that's ready to fight, like Angelique over there too. All right, so, but that's it for me.
Okay, thanks. Jen,
Brendan,
you're up.
Brendan,
Yes.
Mark is asking if you can please stop the screen sharing just for the introduction
sure.
so everybody could see each other.
That's a really good
Sorry to
idea.
interrupt.
No, you're good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Jen, you're up.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm the communications coordinator at ACT.
Okay, thank you for being here. Sylvester.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvester Askins Jr. I'm the training director at the National Working Positive Coalition, also living with HIV for the past 34 years.
Thanks for being here. Rich. Oh, you're muted, Rich.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Rich Fauché. I'm a medical case manager for HRA.
Thank you for being here. Mark, your turn.
Good morning, everybody. I am Mark Misrock. Use the he and they pronouns. I'm the executive director of the National Working Positive Coalition. I've had the privilege and honor to work with ACT and previously CARC for many years on a variety of different eras of initiatives to strengthen responses to employment needs of people living with HIV. I'm so happy to see all of you, but I have to say that I'm especially happy to see Jen Chase, who I have had the pleasure of working with over so many different eras. Thanks for joining us, Jen.
Thanks, Mark. Ellen, you are next.
Good morning, everyone. I am actually going to log off this machine and get on my phone for the rest of the meeting because it's acting up and I'm hearing bits and pieces of everyone. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm Ellen Econs. I work for the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services statewide, overseeing all of our supported employment and supported education programs. I also work for the Bureau of Rehab Services statewide. So I work with lots of different offices and do a lot of training and consultation and so on and so forth. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Ellen. Tamara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tamara Aite, the Early Intervention Specialist at ACT.
All right. Erica, you're up.
Oh, I realized I was still muted. Good morning. Erica Mott also from ACT.
All right, Angelique, your turn.
Good morning. I'm Angelique Crosdale Mills from the city of Hartford.
Thank you. Megan, you're up.
Good morning, Megan Arata, Housing Program Coordinator at ACT.
Thanks. Cheryl, you are up.
Good morning. I'm Cheryl Horowitz. I'm the Director of Grants at the City of Hartford, formerly worked with and for ACT, at one point as an independent auditor for the HOPWA supported housing program.
Okay.
Well, thank you for being here, Cheryl. And last but not least, Danielle, your turn.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm having computer issues too, so I'm on my phone. I'm Danielle Warren Diaz, and I work with Connecticut Children's and UConn Health Family, Youth and Family Community Health Program. And I also live with HIV.
Okay, thank you all for being here. The introductions. This is great. As you all know, we do record these sessions, and alongside with the minutes being uploaded, we upload the actual Zoom recordings too. So if folks wanted to just take a slower deep dive into what was discussed, you have access to that. That's actually how I make the minutes so detailed. I just rewatch the recording. So let's get into the agenda. Oh, okay, here comes Lauren. Good morning, Lauren. So what we were doing, we were just introducing ourselves. So if you would be so kind, just introduce yourself to the team.
Yeah, of course. My name is Lauren Sabrowski. I am the Program Coordinator of Client Assistance and Housing Funds at ACT.
Thank you. Hold on, folks. Let me try to adjust my volume. Can you guys hear me better now?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. I think somebody else is coming in. Okay, so on the agenda, it was updated committee members, but that really coincides with welcome and introductions. So don't want to confuse anybody with that one. Okay, Danielle, the Positive Empowerment Committee, would you mind going into a little bit detail about that?
Sure. So the Positive Empowerment Committee is a committee that is a part of the Ryan Hartford TGA, Traditional Grant Area, Ryan White Part A Planning Council. So it's a committee of folk living with HIV. So it is a closed meeting to those living with HIV. A lot of the things we discuss is really, how we would like to see services provided, how they should look. We educate the community. We also do outreach to the community to make sure there's non-aligned members that are on the planning council to really have that third eye and third eye of suggestions and interventions and things like that. So that's basically who we are at the Positive Empowerment Committee.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Danielle about the committee or?
Ooh, sorry, I see Mark has his hand up. You can go first, Mark.
I think you were in there first.
Okay. Okay. I was just going to ask, I'm just not sure, Danielle, if you and Brendan talked about this before, but we would love, we're going to be developing, I think actually Jen has something that she created already for us in terms of updated marketing, like material, like a flyer for our consumer-based trainings or events. And we would love for the Positive Empowerment Committee to look it over and give feedback and guidance if that's if y'all are up, amenable to that.
Sure, yeah, those are the type of tasks that we love to do. So yeah, definitely we'll do that. And I heard you talk to do a group of our youth, our young people living with HIV, and task them to come up with something as well, so that they can be attracted and engaged in this process as well.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Perfect. Danielle, we'll schedule something after this. The flyer in question is up next, but we just wanted to give you a heads up. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
I am really appreciating hearing a little bit about the Positive Empowerment Committee, and what I heard is that it is a closed meeting for members of the committee who are people living with HIV. I wanted to find out if you ever open up for special meetings with the larger community of people living with HIV. And I also was curious if you might ever have guests joining the meeting, people living with HIV as guests. Like, I guess what I'm wondering is if it's possible that possibly Sylvester and I, and maybe Heather also from the National Working Positive Coalition, could possibly be guests in a meeting that would be sort of an open discussion about employment needs, interests, challenges, opportunities for people living with HIV in the greater Hartford area, and to sort of have an open discussion about this initiative and have some brainstorming that was sort of just within that group.
Yeah, so we are open to all individuals living with HIV. You don't have to be a planning council member per se, because remember, planning councils are open to the public anyway. So half of the people, maybe over half of the people sometimes who are there are members of the public coming in to see the procedure, to give input. There might be a topic of conversation that they want to input. So, you know, the planning council is through the city of Hartford. So it has to be public. It's public. The minutes are public and all of that because it's funded through our government agency. So yeah, so it's open to anyone living with HIV. And we do have special guests come in. We've had people come in to train, and this is with the agreement of everyone in the Positive Empowerment Committee, because it's basically saying, okay, I live with HIV. You know what I mean? So with the agreement with everyone, we've had people come in to do like Narcan trainings, motivational interviewing trainings, that quick suicide one. I forget the acronyms for that, but yeah, so we do have people coming from the outside, for sure, who are not even living with HIV or who don't identify that way anyway, just to come in for the trainings. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So it's I think it would be a cool thing to happen if it, but I just also realized you must have lots of other agenda items you got to get done in your meeting calendar.
We will definitely put it on our next agenda, a meeting agenda to discuss you all coming in. So if you could just send, we'll talk off meeting and just send me the information so I know what to present.
Awesome. And is the meeting only for people in the room, or is it done hybrid, or is it done virtually?
We can set up hybrid, but it's usually all in person, but we can set up hybrid.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Danielle.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other questions for Danielle or the committee before we move on? Okay, now let's get into some marketing updates. Jen, I have made you co-host if you want to take the reins and show the masterpiece that you have come up with.
Sorry about that. I couldn't find the unmute button. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this, I just, made all this language up. So obviously any or all of it could be changed. But I listened to your last meeting and tried to take some points from that about, that's where I got the empowering independence, because people were talking about that it's about independence and not to necessarily focus on the work part, but more about gaining independence. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Jen.
Sure.
We appreciate it.
I don't know if I like that we will help you, if we could come up with something else, because maybe we will guide you or something, because it looks like a handout to me when I interpret it that way. And it's probably just me. If we're empowering people, we don't want to, seems as if we're carrying the load exclusively.
Like something like we can guide you with, or
yeah, I'm just
a
I'm thinking
program
out
to
loud.
guide you with, you know, those
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I would, I wonder if, it might, first of all, this is a really nice looking flyer, by the way. I wonder if a focus less on facilitating changes that we would identify as independent, which could sound like we have an agenda of trying to get you off of our roles or get you out of our programs, which may or may not be in the best interest of somebody from their perspective, or I wonder if a helpful focus is more on expanding options, an increased awareness of the available information, available services, available resources, available options that the collective of programs and services and resources really can expand the options that people can consider and pursue and take advantage of to increase their income, to participate in new activities, in new communities, hone skills, utilize their talents. So it's sort of an expansive and progressive and developmental sort of movement, and hopefully the collection of the different programs and resources really can strengthen hope and faith in considering and activating access to a broader range of options and resources than possibly most people may know about and understand as potentially relevant to interests and goals they may set for themselves.
So if I can ask a question, so the point is downplaying the employment piece, but what other things are we talking about then?
Well, I just based off like the flyer, if I didn't know anything about the program, like I know very little. I only took the first training, and like for one of the big takeaways I got was like for helping people find purpose and like giving them tools. So like empowering
What I
independent.
mean is like, what are those other things? Like, just so I have something concrete, because
yeah,
a lot of what you're saying is like, or what I'm hearing is kind of philosophical. Like like what can I put in terms of what options we're talking about? Like, okay, so if it's not employment, then what are we talking about for expanding their
Well, I don't want to downplay the employment goal, because our plan, our statewide plan speaks to the employment component. So I don't want to downplay the employment component, because I think that's the ultimate goal. If you ask someone at the other end, Pastor Andre mentioned that last month or last week, the months are just running by so fast, that he spent countless hours searching before he got a job. And I think that's where the frustration comes in, is that people want a job at the end of whatever it is that we have in mind. It's nice and fuzzy and comfortable if we can fix all the other pieces in the middle of it and provide all the other information. But I think over the years, what we have heard is that if you're going to do this, at the end of the day, I want to walk out of here with a job.
Right. So
Yeah,
so
I think sorry.
so like real job matching, but to speak to what others are saying, there might need to be like another flyer for a different portion of the program that says, you know, you have a lot to offer. We can help guide you to use, you know, those things that you naturally have and actually work at, you know, and turn it into employment. Because that is, when you talk to, if you come to the PEC, you talk to people living with HIV, they want to take their lived experiences and turn it into work and give back, even if it's to volunteer. They want to turn it into work and for the community and for other people. And so this, you know, I don't know what you all have put together so far, but you have to have that component where people can, you know, use their lived experiences and turn it into employment, like RSS, recovery support specialists, recovery coaches, all of that kind of stuff is really big right now. There's a lot of jobs out there. So first,
the first blurb under the "We help you" part is explore your interests and skills to identify, and we can change wording on this, but basically that's what I was trying to get to. And that first one is, you know, speak to the client and figure out what they already have to offer to match them to opportunities. And we could add in there, you know, employment / volunteer opportunities. But that's the whole point of that first section, is that we explore what they already are interested in, what they already have for skills.
Right. And the matching, you know, we will help match them to an actual job. But I think it still needs to be taken out of this, because skills you already have, that I don't see any that grabbing people who are sitting there wanting to, you know, use their recovery processes and all of that kind of stuff to do work. It's not grabbable.
If we change that to just say explore interests and lived experience instead of skills, would that work?
Can I make a second recommendation? What if we have multiple of these flyers? I mean, Jen, I know this is probably asking a lot of you. What if there's a second or a third flyer or a third information pamphlet or whatever it is, so that when we take it to PEC, when Danielle takes it to her youth, they have options, and if they choose to merge those all into one or whatever, then you know, we walk away with something tangible. I don't want us to spend time picking this apart, because ultimately it's the people at PEC and the Danielle work group with her youths that should really be picking this apart. I mean, we can have some structural pieces that we want to make sure that are in it. But really, if we're saying that we want the thought to come from people with lived experience, then we should give them that power to determine what this looks like for them.
Sure. Yeah, and in that case, I mean, I'm happy to create more options, but if it is going to be a situation where, you know, other people are looking at it and changing language and, you know, determining, I mean, I just literally came up with this based on what you guys said in the meeting. Like I said, this wasn't based on anything other than what I got out of what you were saying. So anything and everything can be changed, but I don't want to put a ton of work into creating all kinds of different versions if it's then all going to be changed again. So my suggestion would be take this version, have the group look at it. They can pick it apart as much as they want, completely rewrite it. That's fine with me. Come up with your own language. You know, this can be completely different. This was just something as a starting point to say this is what it could look like. But again, I don't want to I don't want to keep working myself, going in a completely wrong direction and then having it completely reworked. You know what I mean? So I would say take this to the group, have them give me guidance, and then I can work from that.
Jen, first, I just want to tell you that you've done a great job with what you have so far. You know, I really appreciate the work that you put into it. Suggestion that I threw actually into the chat was that if folks are interested, and it actually seems the ones that are talking to people that are part of PEC anyway, so it may not be a bad idea to take this and to when they go into their next meeting, to have them look at it and review it and reword it or whatever they want to do, and then to give it back to you so we can see exactly where we want to go. And I'm sorry, Mark, I see your hand up.
No, that's okay. I think that middle section that is currently labeled "We will help you" is actually representing some of the important points on the continuum. I think it would be great for a new version to point to the various points on the continuum that people may be at, and maybe start with the folks who are needing and wanting to get a job now, and essentially to just make visible that there are responses, there are resources, there are supports, there are programs to match where you're at right now. So where you're at right now might be, you just need help getting a job. But where you're at right now might be, I need to prepare for a job search, or I need to get help being able to connect with training or education for a goal that may be a little longer term, or I need help with self-employment, gig employment, small business development, or I need help addressing some barriers that I feel might prevent me from being able to really consider employment, such as legal issues, a variety of legal issues, or it may be a question about benefits. How in the world can I work if I don't understand how I can do that without threatening my access to health coverage and meds? How can I work if I don't know how I can stay housed? I think that middle section is a pretty close match to what I started jotting down that I posted in the chat, but actually it's kind of there. I'm now seeing after I wrote that to some extent. But I think what is, I really want to encourage and support that what shows is that if folks are ready and want help with employment right now, that there are resources that actually match that need and that interest. But the reality is that the community is going to fall along a much broader continuum, including some folks who don't know at all if it's feasible to consider employment, or don't understand what options may be available. So I think it would be great not to only focus on one point on the continuum, but to definitely ensure that the focus is effective for the folks who really need and want and are ready for pursuit of a job right now, as well as the large number of folks who are maybe at earlier stages of change.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'm sorry, I'm just going to tag on one little bit more specifically responsive to Jen, which is in some ways, I think this group is still at a relatively early stage of our own development of our shared ideas and consensus and recommendations, and so it may be that you got to work possibly prior to all that coming into focus a little more.
Daniel. Yeah, so I'm, kind of, I'm not saying, no, I'm not playing devil's advocate. It's just questions that I would have. So what's different about this? Because somebody's HIV positive, is that going to get them better employment services than what's already out there? It's not like our people, haven't looked for a job or participated in employment programs. We got SANS, the San Juan Center, the Hispanic Health Council. A lot of the agencies already have employment services, and they've been through. You have the folk who have been incarcerated, and when they released, they went through an employment program. You know how many times somebody helped them write a doggone resume? They will tell you 50 million times. You know what I mean? Like, what's different about this? And that's what's gonna grab people. Is it any different than what's already out there? And that, from what I'm seeing, I don't see, the only difference is that the individuals are HIV positive. So is that going to make the process better because they live with HIV? That's my question.
So at the bottom where I dropped something in the chat box where it says for detail of, I think it should say for navigation services or for case management services or whatever. And that's where a little blurb about the work that Tamara will be doing to help to guide people through this process that we've never really had before can be explained. Come in. Because Daniel, that's what's different this time around, is that we have a bridge between all of our other partners out there and our world.
Danielle, the last time we met, one of the conversations that I had was very similar to what you're saying, because first of all, everybody wanted to put me into the melting pot of everybody else. Start with a job interviewing skills, resume writing, things that I really did not need. It wasn't where I was. The bottom line was, after 9 million trainings, 4.5 million certifications for everything, there was no job. And I think that would be the biggest key, if we could somehow establish an employment bank, so that people know when they come through this program, there is something at the end of the program. It may not get every single person a job, but we should have a job bank set up at the end. And I know that's something that we can't do through Ryan White funding, but there's other funding out there. But that, I think, would be the difference, because every program that I've seen, you go through it, you can get some of the exact same stuff, just like you said. But then at the end of the program, there's no job, and you got to go to another program and go through the exact same thing. You get to the end of that, and still there's no job. So.
Right. So that's why I said the niche is that it's for individuals living with HIV. So it might not be the overall program, but there needs to be a emphasized portion of this program that says, your life experiences living with HIV has value, and we can help you turn that into employment and a career. That's what people living with HIV are going to jump on. You know what I mean? Not to say you shouldn't have this component, but we really need to focus on that. That's the niche. How do we have people living with HIV that we've been seeing around the table that really have a lot to offer? You don't know. I just did a scaling scoring thing for a young woman who went through our program, and she's going after a job. She used to go to to the connections all the time. So, a lot of you on this call know her, and she kind of got her life together and stuff. She became, I referred her for RSS training, and now she's, finding a job within her, something where it's in her heart to give back. As a person living with HIV, with everything else that she's been through, that's the niche for this. because other than that, it's just general, what I'm seeing is just some general stuff, really. Like, what's the difference? And if you have to be HIV positive for the service, that's the difference. So I just like to see some, you know, in this employment thing, some piece of it, component of it that is specific to using your lived experiences living with HIV, and that intersectional stuff that happens in your life to turn it into giving back to the community. And I, you know, that's what I haven't seen. I've never seen that done before, specific to people living with HIV.
You know, I'd like to, this is Cheryl. I just want to add a little bit more to that from the HUD perspective. HUD, which funds HOPWA specifically, but also funds a lot of other kinds of community programs, they distinguish between job training programs and programs that are called economic development. That is to say that they look at it from the perspective of the employer, and that the employer who gets an employee, a good solid employee, benefits because they now have somebody working for them. So it's flipping the approach. HUD feels that it when there isn't a job at the end of something, it's only going to give minimal amount of money for that program because it recognizes the importance and the power of actually placing people. And so they give much more money. The potential of giving much more money to a program like that is part and parcel of what they're trying to do here, which is to promote economic development. So yes, it benefits the individual, and in this case, somebody, a HOPWA person or person living with AIDS, but it also benefits the community. And so that's really, Danielle, kind of like what you were saying too, that this is a two-way thing, but it requires that the employers understand that they are getting somebody that could be a very special kind of a person because of their lived experience, perhaps. But it also, HUD recognizes that there's a lot more value to those kinds of programs and promotes them and tries to figure out ways to make them happen. So I'm sorry for cutting you off, Danielle.
No. And thank you for that. And just, I'm not on my computer, so I can't personally inbox you, but we're people living with HIV, not people living with AIDS anymore.
Sorry.
Yeah. A girl language is always changing, child. I can hardly keep up.
I know. I'm back in the, yeah. I appreciate being corrected. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I just want to tell the story of a young woman who is now employed doing, you know, working. She was actually on the panel at the job fair. And when she found out that she would actually be getting paid for the work, she was in my office, and, you know, she's struggling, you know, with housing and stuff like that. And I said to her, I said, girl, I see you owning a home one day. And she cried. She cried, hugged me. It meant the world to her that she could be seen in that light. You know what I'm saying? So it does, as you were saying, it just, you know, that economic development that just catapults people in so many different ways. Now, hadn't she gotten a job and this conversation happened, she might not say, okay, that's like far-fetched. But because this was said during the time of her actually getting employment, which gives her more hope, she believed it. She believes, I believe it. You know what I'm saying? If she does, you know, what she needs to do. She wants to go through training to get more education about how to be a good peer worker, you know, with boundaries and things like that, because she wants to be successful at this, because it's her heart, it's her passion. She lived it all of her life. She was born with it. She watched her mother, her parents, you know, live through this. So that when you say empowerment, that flyer really, to me, the flyer has to be empowering. is what I think I'm trying to get to. And the flyer is not empowering. It's just informational. And what I feel people need living with HIV is to be empowered by whatever they see. And so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Can I ask a question, Danielle? Because I really think that that is an important focus. It sounds like you are recognizing that people actually, before they are looking through fine print to consider the specifics of any particular path, they actually need to first get a message that is empowering of them to consider their options, to value their experience and how meaningful their current skills, expertise, knowledge, and history are as a worker. Is that true?
This is why I think taking it back to the PEC and other work groups such as that is going to be important, because we have very innovative people on the PEC, forward-thinking individuals in past the peer navigation pieces through EIS and two psychosocial support service categories were as a result of the work and the advocacy pieces that they did at the planning council level to make sure that these opportunities, the ones that Daniela spoke about, came into existence. So, you know, I think we're beating a dead horse here. I think if we bring it back to them and tell them, ask them to charge them with it, they will come out with something that they will understand themselves, and they will be able to script it in a way that their peers will understand and be motivated to want to reach in and reach out to access these services. So I'm not going to discount the PEC, what the PEC can bring to the table.
Absolutely. I did just want to add, because I know we're sort of moving along in the hour here. And it's our next agenda item, but it's related to this conversation too. Just that last meeting we discussed having input from our psychosocial support groups that exist at our wellness centers as well. And since that time, we did reach out to each of the sites at HRA, at CHC in Middletown, HRA New Britain, and the psychosocial groups at Connections in Hartford and out in Manchester. It's not really at Health Collective East anymore. It's mostly cited in the Emmanuel Lutheran Church. But so each of the 4 different areas, and folks were all on board with also reviewing whatever flyer or materials we came up with, and would be willing to hear about anything else we come up with, because I know there were some thoughts about perhaps doing some sort of programming within the psychosocial groups. So just to update everyone on that too, because I think there could be, I know there's some overlap maybe with folks that are members of the PEC and also attend some of the psychosocial groups. But we could get some thoughts and feedback from each of those spaces, and then maybe come back together and like we can submit everything to Jen, that everybody, so that we can be specific in making changes to this and start to use it moving forward.
I make a recommendation just because I know me, and I know some of the other people around the table that are in our space in Connecticut. I am thinking that this process should be led by a peer and not one of us who will, I could just see myself just imparting my own ideas on the flyer. And I just feel like it should be led by a peer. Maybe somebody who's gone through the journey and can impart their knowledge on the group who is looking to design or looking to give feedback on the flyer. That's just my take on this.
I think that's a great idea.
It is. And as I'm sitting up here looking, I might be the only only person.
I was gonna say,
looking
are we volunteering?
Look, I'm sitting up here looking where everybody else seems like they got a job full time, and I'm the only one that don't. So I'm available if needed. But I'm gonna have to work closely with you guys because you've already done some groundwork in terms of reaching out to people. You know, I have no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Do we have any other final thoughts about the flyer? Because I think we covered a lot here. Did we have other agenda items, Brendan? I think that there was maybe one more thing.
We had one more. We were going to give an update on the outreach role with Tamara.
Oh yes. So Tamara, if you could just share with everybody, because I know you were doing some shadowing and.
Yes. So I was doing some shadowing with Jill and I'm still learning. And I was able to work with Joycelyn, who works with Capital Workforces, and shadowing her and seeing her process of guiding her candidates to jobs and linking them to either trainings or schoolings they have to do to get a job. So I'm still learning and I'm still in that process.
Thanks, Tamara. I think the only other piece that we're also mapping out right now is like a more of a formal referral process. And I think some of that I think Angelique mentioned including Tamara's contact information on our outreach materials here. So, and we'll likely be sending out communications in, mass emails and things like that to share with folks like medical case managers, housing case managers, anybody, so that they can refer any of their case management clients for services in terms of employment and / housing navigation that's needed. So folks can be referred to Tamara for that.
Okay.
I just want to say I'm gonna have to get off. I'm actually doing a presentation downstairs from you all at Connections at the Blue Hills Civic Association, the youth employment program. Yeah. So I'm here, but I look forward to our next meeting, and definitely get what you need to get to me so that our next meeting for the PEC is the first Wednesday in September.
Okay, I'll email you later today.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Are there any additional thoughts, final thoughts on anything?
My perception is that it was really a productive, constructive meeting during which I think that we gained an awareness of the importance of shifting the balance of gravity in this initiative to people living with HIV in Hartford. And I'm just hoping that there's a budget so that when people living with HIV are volunteering time, there is compensation for subject matter expertise.
I just said the same thing to Erica as well, Mark.
Ooh, yeah, sounds like something for me to navigate and figure out. And she's smiling at me, Angelique. She's like, she's not going to give me money, but she's going to push me to figure it out.
But But there's Cheryl on the line.
I know I
Cheryl
have
has
both
a bigger
my
pocketbook than I have at this moment.
it's okay. Yes, we will. I feel fairly confident that I can figure that out.
Okay, before I hit stop record, is there anything else we want to discuss? Got a couple minutes.
Hope you're feeling better soon, Brendan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to stop